Clara Evans was 34, a marketing executive in a bustling city. She was known for her sharp mind and steady professionalism. Every morning, she brewed her favorite coffee and read a few pages of a novel before work. Those quiet moments were her escape from the noise of the world. At the office, she was the kind of employee everyone depended on but rarely noticed. She stayed late, finished tasks others ignored, and never complained. Her life followed a rhythm, calm, organized, and safe. It was the kind of peace that comes from avoiding risks. But sometimes, when she looked out the window at night, she felt a quiet ache in her chest. She longed for something meaningful, something real beyond deadlines and screens. What Clara didn't know was that her carefully built world was about to crack. One simple choice would change everything she thought she knew. At the office, Clara was known as the problem solver. Whenever a crisis hit, people turned to her, and she always delivered. Her boss, Mr. Daniel Foster, 42, charming and confident, seemed to admire her professionalism. He often praised her during meetings, saying, "Clara, you're the reason this department works so smoothly." Those words made her heart lift, just a little. After years of being overlooked, it felt good to be seen. Daniel began stopping by her desk more often, leaning casually against the corner while asking about her life. His tone was always warm, his smile confident yet gentle. He asked about her hobbies, her favorite books, and even commented, "You have great taste in perfume." Clara blushed but laughed it off, telling herself it was harmless. Her co-workers started whispering and joking, "Clara, the boss seems quite fond of you." She smiled awkwardly, pretending it didn't bother her. Despite the teasing, she enjoyed feeling appreciated for once. Her days were busy, productive, and filled with a strange new energy. But behind Daniel's kindness, there was something she couldn't quite read, a weight in his gaze, a pause too long. Clara dismissed it as imagination. She didn't know that this newfound attention wasn't admiration at all. It was the quiet beginning of a dangerous game, one she never agreed to play. One afternoon, Daniel called Clara into his office, his tone unusually gentle. He said the company was preparing for annual salary reviews, and she was on the list for a raise. Clara's chest tightened with relief and pride. After years of late nights and skipped lunches, she finally felt seen. Daniel smiled, leaning back in his chair as if they were old friends. "Let's discuss the details over dinner tonight," he suggested casually. "It's easier to talk outside the office." For a moment, Clara hesitated, sensing something unprofessional about the offer. But his friendly tone disarmed her, and she didn't want to seem ungrateful. That evening, they met at an elegant restaurant filled with low music and soft lights. Daniel was no longer the strict, confident manager. He was warm, vulnerable, even charming. He spoke about his divorce, about the long nights alone in his apartment, about how work had become his only comfort. His words were smooth but laced with sadness, pulling her in. "You remind me what kindness feels like," he said quietly. "You make people feel safe." Clara felt her guard drop without realizing it. For years, she had been invisible, but now someone was looking at her, really looking. The conversation shifted from projects and deadlines to childhood memories and personal dreams. Daniel laughed softly when she joked, listened intently when she spoke, and touched her hand gently when she looked away. A spark of discomfort flickered inside her, but she pushed it aside. Maybe he was just being kind. Maybe this was how appreciation was supposed to feel. When dinner ended, Daniel offered her a ride home, but the night didn't end there. One decision blurred into another, and soon she found herself in his apartment, the city lights glowing faintly through the window. He poured wine, spoke softly, and promised, "You don't have to worry about anything. I'll take care of you." Those words struck something deep inside her, a need to feel valued, protected, understood. For the first time in years, Clara let herself believe them. But what she didn't know was that this promise wasn't love. It was the beginning of a trap, wrapped in charm, tied with false affection, and waiting to break her heart. Days passed, and Daniel began to change. His warm smiles were replaced by curt nods, and his visits to her desk stopped entirely. Clara told herself he was just busy, that things would soon return to normal. But every ignored message made the silence heavier. Finally, She gathered her courage and knocked on his office door. "Daniel, can we talk about the salary review?" she asked quietly. He didn't look up from his computer. "You shouldn't mix personal feelings with work," he said sharply. Her stomach twisted as the words sank in. "But you said we'd discuss it," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I never promised anything," he interrupted coldly. "You misunderstood." For a moment, the room went silent except for the sound of her heartbeat. The realization hit her like a blow. She had been used. Humiliation burned through her chest as tears welled in her eyes. "You took advantage of me," she said, her voice breaking. Daniel leaned back in his chair, with a smirk that made her skin crawl. "Careful, Clara. People might think you wanted it." Those words shattered something inside her. Every ounce of trust, every trace of dignity, seemed to crumble in that instant. That night, Clara barely slept. Anger and shame churned inside her, but beneath them was something stronger, a need for justice. The next morning, she walked into the HR office with shaking hands. She told them everything: the dinner, the promises, the manipulation. An internal investigation began. For the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe the truth could still matter. A month later, HR called her in again. They informed her that Daniel had been terminated for misconduct. Clara felt relief flood her chest, until she returned to her desk. The office was no longer the same. Colleagues whispered when she walked by. Some pitied her, others rolled their eyes. A few stopped talking to her altogether. Emails went unanswered, meetings excluded her, and she began eating lunch alone. The very place she had given her all had turned against her. Weeks later, HR summoned her once more. The manager's voice was detached, almost rehearsed. "We appreciate your contribution, Clara, but for the company's image, we have to let you go." Her world stopped. She stared blankly at the termination letter, her hands trembling. Walking out of the building, she felt the wind bite at her face. Her career was gone, her reputation destroyed, and the man who ruined her had taken everything, except her will to survive. Weeks passed in heavy silence. Each day blended into the next, marked only by the sound of her thoughts echoing in an empty apartment. Clara barely ate, barely slept. Her phone stayed silent, her inbox empty, her name erased from the world she once knew. She replayed everything in her mind like a cruel movie. Why did I trust him? Why didn't I walk away? She whispered into the darkness. Her reflection in the mirror became her only company. Each time she looked, she saw someone she didn't recognize, fragile, lost, and haunted by shame. Bills piled up on the table, and her savings began to vanish. The world outside felt cold, distant, and indifferent to her pain. But one morning, as sunlight spilled through the curtains, something inside her shifted. She looked into the mirror and said softly, "I'm still here." Those 3 words sparked something small but real, a flicker of strength. She realized that maybe survival wasn't about winning, but about refusing to disappear. Clara decided to rebuild, not to forget, but to grow. She took long walks through quiet streets, breathing in the air she used to rush past. She began journaling again, pouring every thought onto paper, the anger, the fear, the lessons. Each word felt like a step forward. She applied for new jobs, not expecting much, but knowing that trying was its own victory. Her confidence was still fragile, but it was hers. One night, she opened her notebook and wrote a line that made her pause. "Maybe falling apart isn't the end. Maybe it's how we learn who we really are." Reading it back, she felt her chest lighten for the first time in months. The pain was still there, but it no longer defined her. Slowly, it began to soften, replaced by something stronger, something unshakable. It wasn't hope yet, but it was close. It was self-respect. A few weeks later, Clara's phone rang unexpectedly. A gentle voice introduced himself as Ethan Cole, manager of a small design agency downtown. He had seen her old portfolio online and was impressed by her creative precision. "We're looking for someone like you," he said, his tone calm and genuine. Clara hesitated at first. The thought of entering another office made her anxious. But something about his voice carried warmth, not pressure. She decided to try again. Maybe this time will be different, she whispered to herself before the interview. At the agency, Ethan welcomed her with a firm handshake and kind eyes. He listened carefully as she spoke, not interrupting once, and valued her experience instead of questioning it. Unlike Daniel, Ethan never blurred the line between professionalism and respect. Every word, every gesture showed integrity. When she got the job, Clara felt both joy and fear twisting in her chest. "I won't let the past control me," she promised quietly on her first day. Ethan became a mentor who believed in her potential. He asked for her ideas during meetings and gave her credit when projects succeeded. For the first time in months, she felt safe, not invisible, not used, just respected. The office buzzed with creativity and mutual trust. Her colleagues noticed her quiet determination. "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" one asked during lunch. Clara smiled softly, eyes reflecting both pain and peace. "Yes," she said, "but I've learned my worth." Days turned into months, and her confidence grew stronger than ever. She no longer flinched at praise or doubted her abilities. Ethan continued to guide her without ever overstepping. His leadership showed her that kindness could exist without hidden motives. When she finally received a promotion, Clara didn't cry. She smiled, steady and sure. This time, it wasn't about someone giving her a chance, it was about her earning it. That evening, she walked home under a soft city glow. The same streets that once felt lonely now seemed full of promise. She understood that healing wasn't about forgetting the pain, but transforming it. Her past no longer defined her. It shaped her into the woman she had become. Strong, aware, whole again. A year passes, and Clara's life has quietly transformed. She now leads a small mentorship program for young women beginning their careers. Every week, she gathers them in a cozy meeting room filled with notebooks, laughter, and honest conversations. She teaches them not just about marketing, but about dignity, courage, and boundaries. Clara often tells them, "You can be kind without being weak. And you can say no without being rude." Her voice carries the wisdom of pain turned into purpose. One afternoon, a shy intern stays behind after class. Her hands tremble as she says, "My boss keeps texting me late at night. I don't know what to do." Clara takes her hand gently, her eyes steady and calm. "You don't owe anyone your silence," she says firmly. The girl's eyes fill with tears, not of fear but of relief. Clara realizes at that moment that her own suffering had become someone else's shield. Looking out through the window of her new office, Clara watches the sunlight dance across the city skyline. She feels peace instead of pain, strength instead of shame. She whispers softly to herself, "I forgive myself. And that's how I win." Her story, once filled with betrayal and regret, now blooms with resilience and grace. She understands now that real healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about transforming it into wisdom. Clara's journey reminds us, trust is valuable, but self-respect is priceless. True strength isn't about never falling, it's about standing up wiser than before. What about you? Have you ever learned a painful but powerful lesson about trust? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more emotional English stories to improve your listening and vocabulary.